Good evening. Thank you for joining us for Wizarding Wands and Mickey Ears, Topics and Tidbits live stream. It's Tuesday night, and we are glad to be with you. If you're watching now, or if you're watching us on a replay later, we're agents with Mickey Travels and Let's Adventure Travel, joined together to share our experiences and knowledge with you. And as always, we are very glad to be here chatting all things Disney and Universal news, the latest trips we have planned, and questions that you have. So thank you for being with us tonight. I'm Catherine Ritchie, Jennifer McCormick, getting everything shared out to everyone. So you're making time, as we were saying, amid this busy December. Thank you so much for being on with us tonight. So this is how our day is going, right, Jennifer?
Yeah, oh gosh, it's been kind of crazy. So
we have a glass of wine, if that tells you how just
a little bit of wine here. Cheers, friends.
Cheers. Indeed. So if you are joining us for the first time, welcome in. If you are one of our regulars, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. In the comments, please drop where you are watching us from. If it is your first time, if you have any questions related, or as we're chatting, we love seeing the comments, and you have a chance to win. We're doing that for one more month. $25 gift card to Disney or iTunes or Amazon. So a lot of options just for commenting here or in our Facebook group as well.
Yeah, and we should mention that today, we'll go through some of the news and some chat, depending on the questions that you have. We'll go longer than maybe if not, but otherwise just know that. So on the 28th, Tuesdays, we've been selecting our winners on Tuesdays. And so this is going to be our last live until the new year, till Tuesday, January 4th, I think it is. But, Stephanie said, we're just wondering where you were. Sorry, we're a few minutes late. It's kind of crazy.
We got talking and then it's only 8 o'clock.
Just the time. No, yeah. But then we will choose the winner and post it in our Facebook group on December 28th. And so keep an eye there, please continue to chat. It's been a really fun month so far. Lots of fun conversations about different things. So Disney, Universal, anything travel related, anything tangential is fun.
Absolutely.
Just for that conversation. So yeah. It's been, I don't know about you, but it's been a crazy month. I can't believe it's the 14th already.
I don't believe it's December.
Patches. Oh my God.
I'm still there. I don't know about the rest of you. I mean, if you follow us, I barely got my tree up and things like that, but I was getting my haircut today, and my stylist said, I just can't believe it's December. She said, oh, I'm so glad you said that. Everyone I talk to is like, what do you mean? How? And I'm like, I don't know. It's just been a crazy, I guess when you have kids and you're running around, but I don't know. Right. It's been 10 days until Christmas Eve for those who are participating in that. So
right. And so I spent the entire weekend just trying to finalize packages because, most of my family is out of state from where I am. And so I just want to make sure that everything gets out to folks in a timely enough manner to get there. And I never know how long it's going to take. And
your Christmas card came today. So that, I thought
yeah. That's only because the stamps got here. Like I couldn't even get to the post office.
My cards haven't come.
I'm going to order stamps. And then as soon as they get to me, I'm going to put the stamps on and send them in the mail. So
yeah. No, yeah. My cards. I don't know why. For any of you that send, I know less people send holiday cards or New Year's cards or Hanukkah cards. I don't know why I can't just put Happy New Year on the card and save myself a lot of grief. But I just can't.
I order, some years they're just Happy New Year's cards. Some years there are Happy Holidays because by the time I order them, I don't know what holidays they're coming in for.
Well, here's the time I get them. Yeah. Well, no, one of our friends sends a Valentine's Day card.
Oh, that's nice.
Valentine's Day photo because she said, I do not have time. So that's Becky. Said, I don't have time at the holidays. I don't have time for New Year's. So we just do Valentine's. It's the only one arriving typically. So that's kind of a good idea. So if you find, like me, maybe just ordered your cards last week, that's an option. Just
or wait. Epiphany cards or
really anything. Yeah. You could just make up a holiday, whatever works for you.
Yeah. Well, looks like Stephanie can just send out cards for Jack's birthday. Jack's birthday is January 4th. Happy early birthday, Jack.
Yeah.
We'll be chatting on the 4th.
A birthday coupled in the holidays.
We'll be sure to wish you a happy birthday on the 4th. That's exciting. But yeah, this time of year is just insane.
So
at the same time, I'm lamenting not having traveled December this month. So I'm intensely watching every live stream I can possibly watch just to live vicariously through all of the vloggers.
Right. Well, we know a lot. Obviously, when we're in the parks, we're live streaming as much as we can. So if you are a Universal or Disney World fan, even some footage of Disneyland too, there's a lot that we recommend. And if you're in our Facebook group, we mention those as well. So Nick with Magical News Live is live a lot. I think he was in Disney Springs maybe last evening.
Just yesterday. Yeah.
I think
he was
so.
live yesterday.
I was going to share it and then things happen. But there's a lot if you're just wondering what the parks look like, or especially if you love them decorated at the holidays. I think Nick was at Universal last week or so. Remember, I have no sense of time, so I could be off a little. But yeah, there's a ton that you can watch, which is really fun. And it's a great way to get excited if you have a trip coming up, or if maybe you're just thinking about planning a trip and want to get an idea of what you're looking for. So that's really cool.
I just like to see what's happening in the parks. I like to see what the crowds look like and what the atmosphere is like at that time. And I know that, people have reported the crowds right now are busier than they expect them to be. And I guess I'm not necessarily surprised at the same time, because the parks are mostly booked in full for their park reservations at Disney World. And Disneyland has, not Disneyland necessarily, but I'm sorry, Universal Studios Orlando has been booking pretty full out. And so those parks have been pretty busy as well. With Disney World, we know that they are at some sort of limited capacity still at the parks. It's still not 100%, which is why they have the park reservations to begin with. And then we know that the resorts are at maybe 50 or 60% because of, what they're able to staff. But it still feels busy, in the parks.
Yes. And we've talked about that. If you're someone who hasn't, Jennifer, we've both traveled, Jennifer, especially, during 2020, but we've both traveled. I think it's like anything. I was saying to someone today, I said, I really didn't love people around me pre-pandemic. I will say, I liked my space at the grocery store and all of that. So then to be in a crowd, I think just feels extra. It just feels like a lot of people. And so I know we're seeing comments of people saying, oh, it's the most crowded I've ever seen it. I think it's all relative as well, because if you either traveled during the pandemic to any of the parks, it was much quieter. It was. People just weren't there because they weren't traveling or they couldn't get in because it was so limited. So absolutely, it's going to feel like more people, but it's still not as high a percentage as it was pre-pandemic. We can't tell you exactly what that is. But
yeah, well, I can tell you, I've been really reflecting back on how things have looked, and I'm thinking about Princess Half Marathon this year. And the last time we ran it was February 2020, really maybe 2 weeks before everything shut down is when we left. And I distinctly remember, me and my family of 4, my girls were 2 years younger then. So 12 and 13. And I distinctly remember having to hold hands in a chain to get through some of the crowds in Epcot to go where we wanted to go, because you were that close, sardining in with people. And that was February 2020. That wasn't necessarily Halloween. It wasn't Halloween. It wasn't Christmas. It wasn't New Year's. It wasn't, 4th of July. It wasn't a super busy holiday. It was Flower and Garden Festival at that point. It was Princess Half Marathon weekend, which again, isn't typically the races typically have the resorts fill out, but people, don't necessarily always fill the parks. Those races, you get on a bus at 3:30 in the morning, you run a race at 5:30 in the morning. You're sleeping in the middle of the day. But I remember it being packed in the parks and having to hold hands to kind of, shimmy through the crowds in some of the areas. And so I know when I see crowds now, it looks crowded in comparison to pandemic times, but it's not that, and that's what we were used to in pre-pandemic times during some of the busy.
I think that's the difference. I think it's that perspective. So, even I think we're both booking a lot of trips for maybe first timers or haven't gone in a long time. And they're saying, we're just hearing it's so crowded. So again, it's all it's all relative as well. But I know when I was there in November and we were watching Harmonious at Epcot, where we were standing, and they always tape off areas where there's room. I didn't have to touch, we had space still around us. That's not what it used to be like. I mean,
Not at all.
especially to walk up, we cruised up at 8:55 or something. Like it was right before. Maybe it was at 10 at the time we were there. So it wasn't like we were standing there even a half hour early and you could still get a spot. So again, it's just relative as to that. Yes, it's going to be busier. It's not 2020 travel or anything like that, but you can still take advantage of a lot of things. I was talking to a group today, one of my mom's friends who's going with another group of friends. So these are ladies that are traveling for friends going in January for a couple of days, and we're asking a lot of questions because again, things have changed a lot. So again, that's what we talk about too. Our services are completely free because we want you to have a great trip. And honestly, it changes all the time, and with additions and ways of really enhancing your trip, that's why we're here to really help you with that. And that's why we do this, to really share information, because with Genie Plus and lightning lanes and early entry, all of those things are happening. There's a lot to know, and you need those in order to really enjoy your trip to the fullest, I would say too. So
Yeah.
all of those things wrapped in too.
And I mean, I would say on top of that, like I tend to like to provide information to folks, but I don't want it to be overwhelming. And so I'll provide information. If I hear crickets, then I'll provide a little bit more information, but I always tell people, feel free to ask any questions you have. We can plan as much or as little as you want. And so, sometimes I think I don't hear from folks who are like, oh, I don't want to bother you. You're not bothering us. That's what we're here for. Ask the questions. If you hear something on social media and you think, oh gosh, this doesn't sound so great. I want to talk to somebody who knows what's going on.
Absolutely.
Let us know, because we really do. And I mean, we'll have opinions about things based on that information. We've been to the park so much that we can help suss out what that really means.
Right.
There are lots of folks who have been, to Disney for 30, 40, 50 years now and have very specific expectations and requirements to be happy. And then there's some who are going for the first time and they just want to take it as it comes. That's great too. And I tend to really I'll do a little bit of planning these days, but I just sort of want to take my days as they come and not over plan. And I've done the over planning thing, and that was always exhausting for me and my family. Like we were running from thing to thing. It felt like too much. I felt like we were trying to get too much done in a trip. Some people thrive on that, and that's fine. Yeah. I found that I really don't. Like I want to have a tentative schedule, some ideas, but I really want to be able to be flexible with that and take it as it comes. And that's something that, I'm happy to send via email. We can have conversations. We can do a Zoom. I mean, whatever works. But just know that there isn't one way to do all of, to do the parks and do all of the Disney or Universal stuff, or even the cruises, Aulani, and have a great time. A lot of it depends on what you're looking for, what your expectations are, what you like to do, what's important to you. And that's not always the same priority as everybody in social media, has.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it's great that all those things exist, but it's like anything. And I've done this for 10 years. And I said this at the beginning too. I said this to a future client today. I said, everyone has their opinions on pregnancy, parenting, and Disney. I include Universal now in there too. And they always laugh. And I said, because it's true. And I said, it's unsolicited advice, but think about any trip. Even if I say, I want to go to Hilton Head, I may tell you, well, your family, you guys do things very differently than my family. So again, it's pulling out what works for you. Every family travels differently. This family I was talking to today, they live out in California. They want to come to Disney World. She said, we've never missed a rope drop. We've been everywhere. I was like, that is impressive. First of all, for those of you who know what a rope drop is, which is getting to you were at the park before it opens. Never have missed one. So that's a family. She goes, that is what we do. I'm like, you're going to have a great time then. You're going to be able to tackle, and they just know that. Some families just say they want to sleep in. Okay, that's fine. But again, you just have to shift your expectations a bit. So that's why there's no cookie cutter kind of way we help a family, a group, a couple, whatever it is too.
That is so true. And that's the same though for something like Aulani. If you're going to Hawaii and you want nightlife, I am completely honest to say, Aulani might not be it. Maybe you need to be in Waikiki somewhere. Let's help you find something in Waikiki. But if you are looking for a family-friendly environment, or if you like mornings, I'm a morning person these days. I'm kind of garbage at night. This is about the latest.
We are opposite.
I mean, talk to me at 5, 6, sometimes even 4. Good. I'm on it. Later than that, the later the day gets, it's hard, but I love to wake up at Aulani. If I normally get up at 6 o'clock in the morning here, that's 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 or even 1, depending on the time zone change, because I'm in central time zone. Not ideal. But I love all the early morning activities. A lot of the folks from the East Coast do. And then, the music stops in the Olelo room, the main bar, at about 10 o'clock at night. Usually a lot of folks are turning down at that time. But if you're especially from the West Coast and you're like, I want a club at, 1 o'clock in the morning, Aulani is not your spot. It's just not where you should, because that's not the culture of that part of the island. You're not going to find that there. And so it's worth having that conversation, decide what you want, what you like, and then, we can go from there to make suggestions. Right. So just something to keep in mind as you go, but every family travels differently. And, why we're here is to have that conversation with you, because we've done it all. We know what's going on.
We do.
We know for us, but we can't say, you should do this. We need people to say, here's what I like. Here's what my family likes to eat and do, and our times of day. And then we can help you plan from there.
Right. Absolutely. And it changes obviously with things that we talk about during the pandemic. Things have changed, but also the age of your children. If you're traveling as a family, I've traveled, our first time with a child, our oldest now is 10 months old. So we've done babies up into teens. And if you heard me talk about our October trip, I might have chosen the babies because, those teens can be a little, anyone with teens, I hear ya. They loved being there, but so, but we've done it all in those stages, but also what worked for us then, a lot of it does still work the same, but a lot has changed. And that's why the group is great. We love hearing when people chime in, even about travel. It's just changed so much. The landscape has changed, but there's so many ways, again, that we can recommend a scooter company if you need that. If you want to just show up and rent a stroller, if you want to have groceries waiting for you, there's all of those things that are there. And that can be overwhelming. Or as we talk about, like, who has the time to be digging through and figuring out what is good? What should I be looking for? We want to help you with all of that too. And that's what we love doing.
I know. And some people really need sound machines to sleep at night, or, some diversion. And so we can make that suggestion. It really just depends on your family and what you need. But I remember traveling with the 6-month-old, and she would only sleep in a swing.
Oh my word. Yes. That was all my kids.
Oh, that was painful. Like flights were great. The flight was fine, but then toddlers on an airplane, you have to plan completely differently because they don't understand why they can't move, but they can't go anywhere.
Right.
And then teenagers, all they need to do is plug in on the plane, but then
they don't even, you just see them when you land. It's like,
right. They sleep till noon, but want to stay up until 2 o'clock in the morning. So
we were just talking about one of our worst vacations in terms of, my youngest was 3 months old. I had like a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old or something close, like maybe they were all almost 5, and he didn't sleep. Like when we booked the trip, you didn't know what kind of baby you'd have, and like slept in a swing or a car seat. And on vacation, do you bring the swing? Not typically. So it was one of those, sounded like a good idea at the time. The trip. But again, you can travel with babies, you can travel with little ones. There's just so many different ways to enjoy, and the cruise too. There's just so many things happening. So we shared some news last week about some discounts that are out and some promotions. So if you're thinking about traveling, whether that's, there's a lot for Disneyland. So in California, if you're making that trip out, either obviously for California residents, but also for anyone, there's some great promotions happening with the Disneyland properties, Disney Cruise Line. There was a lot. See, this is why we do this on Tuesday. There's always so much news on Tuesday. But again, if you're thinking about any kind of visit to the parks, we can look into those room discounts for you, which can be a great savings as well.
I noticed just earlier today, there was a discount up to 30% off at the Grand Californian. at
You
Disneyland.
know, I had a moment.
I know. I did too.
I was like, no, I don't have, there's no time.
That's for Disney Visa card holders. So you have to have a Disney Visa for their highest level discount that they have right out at the Grand Californian. But I did look at that for a moment.
It's so pretty. So for those, I think we sometimes don't talk about Disneyland as much just because we're not as fortunate to get out there as often, but we certainly have a lot of West Coast clients or other clients who say that's what we're heading that way. And part of recent, California was so strict in terms of letting up on restrictions and things like that. But Disneyland is set up so differently, but to go back to where it all started is just amazing. And there are only 3 on-site properties at Disneyland. And if you've been to Disney World, you think, really, that's it. But they are really cool. I mean, Grand Californian, it's just so beautiful. So beautiful. I've been in it. I haven't stayed there.
Craftsman style. It's very like, it's sort of reminiscent of, if you're familiar with Disney World, Wilderness Lodge or Animal Kingdom Lodge, the lobby is just grand, dark woods, but craftsman style.
Yes.
Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. The lounges are so nice. The food is so good. Like, I love the Grand Californian.
Yeah. And
I
I
have
think
a private entrance to California Adventure Park.
Yep.
I mean,
ESP. It's just a different feel. So again, in Disneyland is one too, because of where it is in Anaheim and that you have a lot of other properties as well. But if you have little ones, talk about accessibility and how easy it is literally to stroll into the park or to get back to your resort really easily. I mean, there are some really great things about Disneyland beyond even that, this is where the magic started too. So that is really something to consider if you're thinking about a trip out to California, or if you're just making an exclusive Disneyland trip as well.
Right. Well, and if you are a Disney World fanatic, if you've been to Disney World several times and you're thinking, okay, maybe I should try Disneyland, it's a totally different world. It's a lot more approachable. I mean, the 2 parks, Disneyland and Disney California Adventure Park, are literally steps away from each other. And so whereas at Disney World, I think twice about, do I need a park hopper ticket? At Disneyland, no question. I love to jump between the 2 parks, but that's because they're literally steps away. I mean, like that Esplanade or whatever,
passing. Yeah.
The concourse is, the entrances are right next to each other. And then, I don't know. I love the history of the Disneyland park, but my heart belongs to Disney California Adventure. I love Radiator Springs. It's gorgeous. Again, it's one of those places where the lighting in the morning, early in the morning and late at night totally blows you away. They've got a Monsters Inc. ride. And I have to say that Monsters Inc. is like it's my thing. It's probably my very favorite. Monsters Inc. 1 and Monsters University. Like, I love monsters. There's just something about it that just fully pulls at me. Right. But, it then, the, Pixar Pier is awesome. World of Color is coming back.
World of Color is lovely.
Yeah. And then you've got Wine Country Trattoria and just
also a favorite.
My language, you've got kind of, Wine Country in the park.
Right inside. I mean, you're winning. Yeah, all the favorites right there. Yeah.
It is. It's all the stuff. And it's different. Typically Disney California Adventure is very different than everything for the most part that you would see at Disney World. And so, being someone who's really used to Disney World, being used to it's a small world and the castle and I don't know, Fantasmic and all those things, you have them in Disneyland and they're amazing and different and totally worth doing. And, and Space Mountain and all the rest of that. But then you go over to, Disney or Disney California Adventure. And of course, I've said this a million times, but the Guardians of the Galaxy ride there is the best. Tower of Terror. And so, I mean, it's different enough. They do have Soarin'. And so Soarin' is located in California Adventure. And so if you're a huge fan, like I am, you can find that there. So there's some still similarities, and then it's, it's got its differences too. So.
Right. So if you're thinking about that, or again, if we can answer more questions about Disneyland, we do both book that as well. And that's a really great trip. So I've been, my kids haven't been yet. So that's
They have to get.
I know. Well, I was fortunate when I went, was with a fellow travel agent who was a friend too. And so she knew it like the back of her hand. They had annual passes. And so it was so great to just say, take me wherever we want to go. So we really saw everything in just a few days, which was very
fun. Yeah. People, I should mention this before we get off of Disneyland information. People always ask, how many days should I do Disneyland? And I think it really depends. And this is the same with Disneyland Paris, because you've got Walt Disney Studios and Disneyland Paris, the two parks that are right next to each other. And to me, it really depends on what kind of traveler you are. Are you wanting to hit the highlights? Do you want to see everything? And then do you want to see everything and do a couple of things twice? Do I want to see everything and see a couple of things twice? Yeah. I want to do everything. I want to eat everything. I want to see everything. And so like 3 to 5 days is not too much for me. I mean, last time I went to Disneyland Paris, I did 7. Like I couldn't get enough because I needed to see it all and to take it in. If I want to touch the highlights, maybe 2 or 3 days, is okay in either of those locations. So it really just depends on what you're looking for, what kind of traveler you are.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a really good point too. Or again, if you have been there before and you're doing it again, that can be different, but no, I think there's just so much in both. You're shorting yourself if you're doing less than 2. I feel like.
I agree.
That's surface. That's just not the full experience.
Well, especially if you're not full day park people. If
that's,
you don't want to spend
a great
full day in the parks, then you're going to miss something. You only go for 2 days.
Absolutely. So more days you definitely want. Yeah. And if you do, depending on the time of year, to be able to go back and swim, and we talk about refreshing, you do want to factor that into having enough time to do everything.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So let's see, Disney Cruise Line. I think we talked about this last week too, that, and of course just has kept my wheels spinning and all my free time to think about these great fares that are available starting in there's some now, but obviously in 2022, bookings are available through 2023 through halfway through the year. So again, that may, you're like me. I just said, I don't know, it's December of 2021. How can I think about 2023? But a cruise is the one you do want to be thinking ahead of time. Or if you're thinking, I just don't know if we want to travel in 2022 or even the first part of the year, you can still think past that as well. And so again, with Disney Cruise Line, and I think we say this about Disney World and Universal as well, if you're thinking about it, definitely start exploring that. We're happy to help you do that, figure out the best itinerary for you and the staterooms and things like that. But you have the best choices the further out you book, as well as the best pricing.
And I do want to though put a caveat on that for January rates, Disney Cruise Line, because I have a client currently who was booked really as early on pretty much as they could for January 2022 with all of, COVID and everything happening, and was able to only at that time book a guaranteed inside stateroom category. And so everything was booked except for a guaranteed category means you book the category, Disney picks your room. Best possible in that category. Sometimes they go a little bit higher. And, was looking around, they were within the penalty phase. They had paid in full or within penalty. And they were like, I think, this guaranteed, veranda stateroom is going to be cheaper. I called Disney Cruise Line to see what it would look like and get things switched around, and even taking the penalty on canceling their first sailing and booking a veranda. So inside stateroom to veranda, they saved $1,000. Family of 4 on a Star Wars, 7-night sailing January 14th out of Port Canaveral. And so these rates are incredible rates. If you want to go sail, you have to, at this point, you're paying in full, you're in.
You're committing. You're all in. You're all in.
But they saved $1,000 taking a penalty and going from an inside stateroom to a veranda stateroom.
That's crazy.
So, yeah. So that was, I mean, I couldn't believe we could make it happen. I couldn't believe that they, were willing to do that and
Right.
make a decision, split second decision saying, yep, I will do whatever I can, even if it only saves me $20, and it ended up saving them quite a bit more than that. So, and that was glorious. I mean, as long as it saved them something, they gave me the bandwidth to do whatever I needed to do when I was on the phone with Disney Cruise Line to get that figured out for them. So,
wow.
Hey,
That's
they
crazy.
get a veranda. They're on the same sailing. I mean,
yeah.
And all around, they're paying less.
Well, and I think that's part of the value too, is that, we do this. So we're happy, that we might ask questions you might not know to ask if you haven't done this, or to know, you might be saying, I don't even know what that means. Like, what does a veranda mean? What does this mean? Or is it worth it? Those are all things we can help you with too. And again, booking further out, you're getting just more options. It's like anything. So that is, I know I haven't even been looking, because I will sometimes look.
I know.
You especially, like, I'll just get on and be like,
stop. I'm overbooked for 2022. I can't do it.
You are. And I have some things happening too. And I'm just like, I don't even want to look, because then I'm just, my little heart's going to say, but look at that cheap flight.
I mean, I have tentative things booked because I really want to make them happen, and I'm not sure I can make them happen, and I'm willing to take a penalty even on some of it to keep that option open, and that's why we are who we are, and why we do what we do. Right. And I mean, we can help you make those decisions too. Plenty of people do. And just to know, here's what it might cost you to keep that option open, or, you can book this and there's no penalty. Like Disney World, we talked about this last week. You have until 30 days prior to travel to make a decision. So if you're not 100% sure, book the trip, figure things out a little bit later. Universal, it's, 45 days. Like, you've got time to be able to make sure that you have at least, reserved what you think you might want. And then if you have to cancel, you have to cancel. It's not the end of the world, but if you do travel, you've got what you want and you've got your first choice.
Absolutely.
If you want to sail in January, you need to contact us, because there's some really awesome deals out there that I don't think we're ever going to see again. I mean, not in the, easily foreseen future for sure.
No, I don't think so. And again, that's the advantage. And that's another perk too. If you're thinking, and Jennifer recently cruised, and this is where an advantage of her being a morning person is, that she was up early, scoping things out, capturing a lot of video, when a lot of people aren't out, but the ships aren't full right now.
Right.
So, I mean, that's another perk of sailing, is that you're getting more space to yourself too.
Oh my gosh. Being on a ship that I don't even know, maybe, I mean, it certainly wasn't half full, maybe a third, maybe.
That's so crazy.
Oh, it was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really looking forward to sailing on the Disney Magic again in April. I know it's going to be a completely different experience, and that's fine. But having been on it when it was fairly empty,
It was pretty nice.
I could get more of those than I would.
I know. I was jealous of that. Yeah, that was a good one. So.
And along those lines, I've got a lot of videos. Finally, this weekend, I sat down, got a lot put together. So every Friday for really up until February, I've got videos scheduled already. So keep an eye on things. We've got a lot of fun videos coming for you.
Right. So for those of you who are subscribed to our channel, thank you so much. That helps us obviously with reaching more people, and helps us kind of be able to fund what we're doing, to be able to create more things and have more experiences. So hitting that like button when you see a video, subscribing so you get notified is great. Sharing it out if you're enjoying what you're seeing, and you maybe know someone who's planning a trip and that would find value in this, that is always great as well. And so appreciated. That's why we do it. So the fact that there's videos coming, not just for pretty things, they are helpful as well. It's a good resource too.
Well, and I always know, like, if I'm looking for something specific and can't find it easily, I want to create it myself. And so that's, what I've got out there. I mean, there are some things I'm just really looking for, I really want, and I can't find them. And so I think, well, I guess I just need to create it.
And she does.
I try. There are some things I'm still missing, but they do come eventually. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And so this is kind of, I mean, this is a little more Disney Cruise Line news too, but did you see today that they announced another port that will be,
Yeah.
so not for another
That
year.
rumor's been out there for a while. I'm so
Mhm.
excited to see that that's officially official right now.
Right. So just announced today. So I think not until 2023.
2023, there will be one ship. And then 2025, they'll have two out of Port Everglades, which is basically Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know about you, but I'm finding cheaper flights out of Fort Lauderdale. So right now I'm currently booked on a flight to Fort Lauderdale for my Miami cruise.
Yeah.
And with better times. And even with that, it'll be cheaper with the transfers than, flying into Miami, from where I am. And so, they said one ship, and it'll be a dedicated, not port, but dedicated, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not exactly sure. Space specifically for Disney Cruise Line, like they have at Port Canaveral, that they can personalize and customize. But I really wonder, I mean, the Dream and the Magic are sailing out of Miami. The Magic has been out of Miami, and then the Dream starts in Miami instead of Port Canaveral right before the Wish starts sailing in June. And so the Dream has been, exclusively sailing out of Port Canaveral for years. And now it's moving to allow the Wish to take its spot. And so the Dream will be, sailing out of Miami, but I wonder if they're going to move everything eventually to Port Everglades. I mean, if it's more affordable, Fort Lauderdale Airport is right there. Miami is, still within about a 45-minute drive. So not far closer. Miami is closer to Port Everglades than Orlando International Airport is to Port Canaveral.
Yes. Yes.
So
no, I think it's great. It means more options for people, which is wonderful. So, and again, starting, it says home ported. Was that the word you were looking for? I mean, that.
Right.
You're welcome. So 2023, another in 2025. But I mean, the fact, and it's really close. I mean, you are not far from, literally so close. So another option. So that's a great thing to keep an eye on as well. Fort Lauderdale is a great place to get, really from almost all cities. I don't want to say all, but a lot of cities, you can get some really discounted fares into Fort Lauderdale, which is fantastic.
Yeah, I find, like I said, I'm finding better flights there. Not too far away from Vero Beach. So if you're looking at spending a few nights before or after at Vero Beach, that place is probably going to be become even more popular.
That is true.
It's hard enough to book now. So I think
I know. Well, I'll have to pick your brain about that because we haven't been, but Jack has a baseball tournament in Vero Beach in June. So I was like, I'll just be over here.
I know that's another place that's really a slow pace. And so if you're looking for a super slow pace, Vero Beach is glorious. I mean, if you're, again, not a fast paced place, if that's what you're looking for, you're in the wrong spot.
Right.
But if you just want to hang out on the beach all day, go for a bike ride, play a little volleyball, eat some good food, like read a good book. That's it. That's your place to go. It's sort of like being on a cruise without being on a cruise. Right. You can totally disconnect, go slow. They have drink tasting classes like that. We did the pirate rum adventure. Incredible. I mean, just as good, if not better, than what we've experienced on a cruise. So that, fun activities like any Disney resort and then some, but nice slow pace, nice beach feel.
And we should mention that. So there's Vero Beach and then there's Hilton Head too. So Disney has properties there that we can help get you booked as well. So if you're thinking, I want the Disney level of experience and customer service and service, all of those, but I don't want the park, we can help you with that too. So keep that in mind as well. If you're thinking about
you definitely have to book in advance though. I've got some folks who are like, I want to go to Aulani in January. That's kind of hard.
So do I.
Like, I can find some things for you, not exactly what they're looking for, not exactly the accommodation. So like January is a slow travel time, but things still book up.
Yes.
then if you're looking at holidays or breaks, they book up really far. Stephanie mentioned in the chat that she wants a cruise. She said this to me a bunch. She wants a cruise out of New York that goes to Castaway. That, and you and everybody else, like if we could get even like a one-way sailing out of New York to Miami, or because I mean,
we like to say it out loud here because we know people are listening. Yeah.
I know they go north. I mean, if ever they're out of New York, they're going to Canada. They're not coming south, but how great would it be if they could just do a couple of sailings like they have, with, on the East Coast, with Hawaii. So go to Canada for one, and then come on down and go to Port Canaveral, and then, like a repositioning cruise. I'm sure plenty of people would do that, because then they'd only have to drive one direction or fly one direction, depending on whether or not they, they will drive. I know that New York only can take the smaller ships. And so right now that's pretty much just the Magic on the East Coast, because the Wonder, hangs out on the West Coast, but those are the smaller ships. So
so
be nice.
Yeah. So as you hear us talk, I mean, there's a lot of ships, there's a lot of itineraries, there's a lot of options. If you've never even considered cruising, I can certainly tell you why we like it and why it's a great option. We also help a lot of clients who do a couple days at Disney World and then also do a cruise or bookend. There's lots of those options as well. So there's lots of ways of combining a lot of favorites in one trip too.
Right. Before we get too far, I did want to be sure to mention, because we haven't mentioned yet, that the New Year's Eve fireworks are back at Disney World.
I know
that was, it was a big deal last year. And I think all of us expected them to do something. People hung around. There are a lot of people just chilling in the parks thinking there's no way they're not going to have special fireworks. They didn't. No. And I don't blame them for it, but they're back. They're officially back. They are on the calendar schedule. If you are going to be at Disney World or Epcot on New Year's Eve, there are fireworks. So that's pretty exciting.
That is. And that is, I mean, New Year's Eve is a big night to be in the park. So the fact that is back and announced is cherry on top of the Sunday for people.
I know. Well, and I would have to say, if you have, because park reservations are sold out, but if you have a reservation for December 30th or 31st at Magic Kingdom for these New Year's Eve fireworks, go. Because if October 1st, if the 50th anniversary and the 50th anniversary fireworks are any indication, it was crowded. It's nothing like a normal New Year's Eve. I mean, it will be crowded. You will want to stake out your spot, fairly far in advance, maybe a few hours in advance, if that's really important to you, but it's not going to be like any other year for New Year's fireworks.
That's true.
It's just not. I mean, and as much as people are saying the parks are packed, they're not packed in comparison to pre-COVID times.
Right.
They're just not, even on your busiest day. And so if you're there, this is the year to do it. Enjoy it. At Epcot, it's only going to be the 31st. They don't have it on the 30th. But just know, again, if you're there, this is the day to do it. And then on those respective days, on the 30th and 31st at Magic Kingdom, and on the 31st at Epcot, they're shifting their normal shows, Enchantment and Harmonious, to 6:30. So if you don't want to stay up late and you want to see fireworks at 6:30, awesome.
Yeah.
You can see the normal shows early in the day, take the little kids back to sleep, and you're done. So
that's kind of a win. I'm sure there's some people saying, can they do that more often? Because that is kind of amazing.
Yeah, I agree. But I'm pretty jealous, because I just know, based on what October 1st looked like at Magic Kingdom, they closed the park to park hopping for the first time since they allowed park hopping, at the beginning, around January 1st, 2021. Magic Kingdom sent out, on the app, it was like a push notification, and you knew about 4:30 that day they closed the park to park hopping. You had to be in that park. And so it was as full as it could get with the reservations and with the people park hopping to Magic Kingdom. And it still was very reasonable as far as I was concerned for fireworks. And that's what everyone was there for. I mean, for those of us who were there on October 1st for the start of the 50th anniversary, you had a lot of fans who were there for the food, for the
Sure.
merchandise, not for the rides, you know, and they were there for the fireworks, yeah, for the time. And so everyone who could have been on Main Street was on Main Street, and it was still reasonable. So I fully anticipate that to be the case for the New Year's Eve fireworks.
Yeah, and some more festive news because who doesn't love a parade and who doesn't love a parade at Disney World?
Right.
So anyone? The Once Upon a Christmas Time parade will start during daytime hours in the park. So starting on December 21st at noon and 3:30, 3:45 until the end of the year. So also really big news for anyone who said, I've just been missing the parades or the parades coming back. We talked about it with the after hours holiday party that they came back for that. We didn't know when they might. So this is that kind of sneak peek. So if you are visiting between those days to Magic Kingdom, how exciting you get to see.
I know. And that's something that people don't tend to realize is that, you know, Disney will have a special parade for whatever their very merriest celebration is. And so before times, it was, you know, the Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. Now it's the Very Merriest After Hours event. But they had a special Christmas parade. But then once it got to Christmas week, they ran it for everybody. So those parties don't go during the busiest times during Christmas week. The parties are done before that. And then they transition that parade to regular park hours for everybody who's there, you know, immediately during those holiday times.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you want to see, you know, the parade during that time, or if you're there during the holidays, you're going to see it during your regular trip. Now, you're paying a premium to be there during the time. So if you can go first few weeks in December and then go to a party, it's probably all going to even out in the long run, but it depends on when you can take vacation time, when you can go, but know that that's always there and available during the holidays. It just makes a difference on, you know, what selections you have to make to see it.
Right. That's really true. Yeah. So just more good news is what we keep saying too. And then I think we talked about this, the International at Flower and Garden Festival at Epcot. So we got the 2022 dates from March 2nd to July 4th. So 125 days to enjoy the festival. So really exciting. Let's see, a new main entrance topiary display will feature Goofy and a 50th themed birthday cake. The topiaries are just amazing in general, but the fact that they're going to be even a little more elevated in terms of the celebration is really excited. So this is a fun one as well. I mean, we always used to visit in the spring. We'd visit in April and May. Those are the times we always went when my kids were little, and I just love it so much. So sentimental reasons, but I'm also just so in awe of what they can do with the topiary. It's quite remarkable.
Right. Well, and I'm hoping that this is the trend for Epcot. So they, you know, again, pre-COVID times, they would have their festivals kind of more compartmentalized around Flower and Garden was in the spring, Food and Wine was in the fall, International Festival of the Holidays was December. And then they introduced International Festival of the Arts, which was, you know, just a few weeks, January into February. And now we're seeing things really stretched out. And so I'm really hoping that means that Epcot's only going to go for a few weeks a year without a festival, because I mean, the week that I'm there for Princess Half Marathon is the week in between when they have to switch between Festival of the Arts and Flower and Garden Festival, you know, which is fine. And then they do Flower and Garden Festival until the 4th of July. And then I hope a week or two later, we'll have Food and Wine again, like we did last year. Because I mean, it takes time, but that's what they did last year. And it was great. And then they have a week between Food and Wine and, you know, Festival of the Holidays. So feels perfect to me.
I think so. And I think you can kind of just tell. I was thinking a friend had not been there in a long time. And she said, all these booths look more permanent. And I said, yeah, you're right. And I said, and that's part of, because she was like, gosh, there were some areas where it felt tight. I said, well, you've lost some space because of all of these, but they were built to be there more and used more. And we're seeing that more. So it used to be, if you loved Flower and Garden, you only had a smaller window to go. So the fact that you have so much more time just allows so many more people to enjoy these festivals, which is a huge.
Well, it's really 2 months longer than
Yeah.
what it was before. Again,
I was gonna
last
say,
year
you
it
know,
went
it's
pretty late, but yeah.
closer, yes, but the fact that it's covering 125 days, a lot of time that you can get there, which is
I
great as
love
well.
it. And we're really tentatively thinking about a June trip too. So I'm like, let's make it happen.
Yes. Shocking.
One of my daughter's birthdays, she's got a June 4th birthday, and it's the worst time to travel because it's not quite the end of this school year. And we just start feeling like we're going to have to make it happen soon, because pretty soon she'll be further along in high school. Then when she's in college, she's probably going to be working. I mean, like, we need to figure this out to go for her birthday. Everyone else in the family has been on their birthday. And so, I mean, I know first world problems, but it would be nice.
Yeah, that's a nice time to go too, for sure.
I love it. Yeah.
So stay tuned for Jennifer adding trips every month. We do have some exciting things. No, I know. I have a few too. So yeah, we have some exciting things planned in 2022. We're not teasing them yet. Hopefully you'll see us together on some trips as well, but also some trips just planned with our families or friends as well. So those are coming up. So we'll talk about those more again in January when we're kicking off another year of doing this. So that's exciting.
I know, and hopefully more will be, solidified by January, that we can really talk in concrete. We have some
pretty good plans in place, but we're not quite ready to announce all of them. So yes, some big news. Yeah. My kids don't even know about some of them. So, as you know, if you follow me, my kids don't always know what we're doing. So and two of them sometimes pop on and watch. So
that's so funny. And mine always know every detail. Like, we surprise them with one.
I know.
All this time, but I just can't. Like, I get too excited.
As they get older, it's hard because you just never know. If you all remember the homecoming debacle of the Walt Disney World 50th anniversary. So we'll see. And then baseball. I mean, just as a baseball season's knocking us out for 8 or 9 weeks as well. So
I know I have to plan everything around Irish dance season.
Yeah, the joys of children. Yeah.
I know. I check with the owner. She's so sweet. I'm like, I know that you probably don't have to set in stone, but you have tentative dates, because I'm going to make a reservation that is going to be hard to cancel. And I know I want to make sure that we don't miss anything important.
Because this is me. I know. So.
But that's our life. Irish dance is our life. So
mention.
So with the videos, I've got, new videos up, and that will be posted starting this Friday. And I have a new intro for all those videos. And we've got a little bit of Irish dance from Raglan Road on the intro, which made me really happy, because I love it. All of the random snippets from the videos are very personal. So it's fun. It's fun to put that sort of thing together.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So gosh, we've talked about a lot more than I
know. We thought we'd go maybe 30, 45
minutes. We're like, we probably don't have much to talk about. Then we get chatting.
Plenty to talk about.
Yeah, always lots to talk about. So
fun. Well, thank you all for joining us today. This has been a lot of fun. And again, we are taking a couple of weeks off for the holidays to spend some time with our families. We will be back live on January 4th, but we'll be selecting a December gift card winner on December 28th. That's Tuesday, December 28th, on our Facebook group. So keep an eye on that. And of course, if you're a winner, we're going to tag you and contact you any way that we can. So don't worry about it. You'll be contacted. You can't miss it. But in the meantime, again, stop on over to the Wizarding Moms and Mickey Ears Facebook group. Ask questions there. If you are not on Facebook, you can always ask questions in the chat. You want in the comments on YouTube, and we see those and we'll respond to those there. Instagram, a little bit less on Twitter, some on TikTok, depends on what strikes us in the moment with everything else that we're doing. Because always our priority is helping our clients. And so if I run out of time because, to do social media because I'm helping families who are booking trips, that's my priority.
Yep.
So just keep in mind that we love social media. It's so much fun, but our priorities are the folks who are booking their trips and planning their trips.
Absolutely.
But yeah, this has been so much fun. Thanks for joining us tonight. Again, please hit the subscribe button if you don't subscribe already, so that you can be notified of all of our videos coming up, and feel free to share with friends, family, coworkers, acquaintances who might be interested. And until